Hi, everyone, and welcome to Discover E Engineering Chat with Changemakers. And I'm your host, Enrique, and I am a 10th grader in Florida and president of my school's SHEP Junior chapter, which is the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. Each month, I welcome a different guest from the engineering community, and today I'm chatting with Ceola Hart. Ceola is a pipeline controller at Shell. Ceola, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, thank you so very much for inviting me for this opportunity, Enrique.
Yeah, perfect, of course. So I'm going to kick things off by asking Ceola a few questions to get to know a little bit more about her. You can ask questions too by typing in your questions in the Q&A box below, and we'll save the time to answer as many as we can. Okay, so let's get started. So, Ceola, my first question is, can you please tell us about your role as a pipeline control at Shell?
Of course. So, as a pipeline controller, it is my responsibility to ensure that we move those liquid hydrocarbons from point A to point B. So, we have a system that is set up remotely where we're able to move the product through pipeline, intricate system as far as Canada all the way down to about Louisiana, Texas, things like that. And so all of this is underground. We also have a system that does things offshore. And all of that is ensuring that we get those products such as your gas, your diesel, your jet fuel. Processed kind of moves safely and quickly. So our system is it's very automated. And so we're able to connect and send this product all across the world and in a safe manner. So that's the one thing that Shell ensures that we're able to do, and it's done safely. The jet fuel that goes to O'Hare, my console actually supplies that jet fuel, so we make sure that those planes are leaving safely and they're arriving wherever they've got to go safely. My console as well also supplies the jet fuel to the Louisiana airport, and I was very happy to have been able to actually go and see that recently, just to kind of see kind of what happens out in the field versus a office space where we're pretty much located. So I'm in Houston, and it's pretty much an office space that I'm located, but we're able to do a lot of things remotely and safely.
So I know you said that your work is very remotely. So what would a typical day look for you as a pipeline controller?
So a typical day, I come on in. So our shift is from 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. So if it's our night shift, we go in from 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. But it's a 24 operation. So there's somebody sitting in that seat at all times. Once I get on in, and I have to take turnover from the person that was in there before. So they're letting me know pretty much a rundown of what occurred on the console, if there's any things that I need to pay attention to, if there's any changes, if there are any people out in the field that are operating. So it's a lot of communication that we have to make sure that we go through, and we make sure that it's good communication, because the last thing we want is to have somebody out in the field and us not know, and we either need to shut something down in emergency cases, but the communication is one of those key aspects. So whenever I come on in and I'm taking shifts from somebody else, I take down all of that information, and then I go through my own process and my own routine that I have set up. And it's a strict routine, ensuring that I check all bases, because it's just not one system that we operate. So we've got a lot of different consoles at the Houston site, but my specific console, we operate around 7 to about 10 different locations, and it's different screens. So we operate it on about 8 different monitors. So I've got 8 monitors that deal with that, and then 2 additional monitors where I can check emails and pull up my schedule. So once I get in and I take over shift and I go through my routine, going through all of those systems properly, making sure everything is running like it's supposed to, I then have to check my schedule, because that schedule that we receive lets me know what systems are going to start up, what systems are going to shut down, and what systems are just going to pretty much continue to run, and all I need to do is just kind of manage it, and just make sure everything is running smoothly. So that schedule that we receive is the schedule that I have to go back through, double check, and make sure everything is good. Make sure that I've got a plan in place in regards to systems that are starting up and systems that are shutting down, and I don't necessarily want them to all kind of occur at the same time. So it's a lot of time management that we do on that console as well, and just making sure that things don't just pile up on us, because it can become a little stressful when a lot of things just kind of pile up on us last minute. But once we go through that, and once I make sure my schedule and everything runs smoothly, I'm able to pretty much handle my entire day, once I know exactly what it is that kind of comes in. But we do have people calling from the field from time to time saying, hey, can you do this or put this in test? So those little things that kind of happen here or there, you're still able to manage it. So it's a lot of multitasking that we've got to do.
Yeah, definitely. Going back to what you said at the beginning, communication from the past three episodes that we've done, every single engineer has come in here has said communication, 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 and just has emphasized how important that is. And again, here we have another person who's emphasizing how important that communication is and being able to go out there and be able to express your ideas that you have. So definitely, yeah, I
Yes.
can't agree with you more. It looks like a stressful day, but I imagine you love doing your job.
Oh, I do. I do. It's definitely, you learn something new, and that's the other thing. Just like you're saying, communication, man, you cannot. We can't emphasize that enough, because it is very good to have good communication skills for sure.
Yeah. By any chance, can you share an example of time when quick decision making was an essential part of your job and how did you handle it?
Oh, yes. Oh, man. So we've, outside of what the example that I'm going to give you, we've had an example from one of the other consoles, because we've got systems where we're operating at the California location. So we've got a whole console designated for that site. We've got a whole console designated for like crude products through Louisiana. We've got another console that deals with just offshore stuff. And then we've got another console that deals with chemicals. And so every console is specific. And I just recall having a conversation in regards to where there was a potential leak. And so this isn't necessarily on my console, but this is just one of those examples where quick thinking and you being able to go through your processes and your procedures and shut that pipeline down quickly. So that is one example from somebody else where it's like, we've got a call to say, hey, there's a potential leak within our system, and that controller was able to quickly isolate and shut down that particular segment. And in order to have somebody go out and double check and triple check if it was ours or not, but they were able to go through their procedures. Now, for me, my example probably occurred a couple of months ago, where I was making a switch remotely. So that's opening up one tank and closing off another tank. And so when we get products going through the pipeline, it comes through pretty fast. And so you've got to make sure that you're doing things, what we call, you're making switches on the fly. So I'm not shutting down the system in order to open up a new valve or anything like that. It's being done on the fly. So you have to be very responsive. You have to understand what's happening with your system. And so I was opening up a tank, and it was for diesel. So the product that was coming through the system was to go into a diesel tank. I opened on up that diesel tank, and for whatever strange reason, a jet tank was opening. Now, that is one tank that you don't ever want to have any other product go into, because again, that goes to the airplanes, and we want to make sure that those airplanes leave their destination safely and arrive safely. So when I noticed that that jet tank was opening and I was pumping diesel, I immediately had the other person on the line, our third party person that was actually pumping, I immediately had them shut down the system. And so once they shut down that system, I was able to close off all the valves that I needed to close off, and then call my supervisor, which is part of our routine and part of our process. Call my supervisor, let him know, and then he needed to then go through his process, which is calling out to the field staff, checking to see what was in the line, making sure that that valve truly didn't open out in the field, and doing the necessary checks. So because of we have about an 8-month process that we go through as far as training to ensure that every controller is equipped with the knowledge that we need in which to operate as quickly as possible in situations such as this. And so we've got procedures that we have to follow, different things like that. And because of those procedures and because of my training and then because of the time that I've been there, I was able to utilize all of that knowledge to be able to quickly respond and respond safely and be procedurally compliant, as we put it, to ensure that everything actually was done correctly. And we were able to then go back in and see that, hey, nothing actually truly occurred. We were able to still continue to pump because the jet tank was not contaminated, nothing occurred with it, and we were able to start back up our system properly. But that was just a quick thinking because my heart was racing on that one. Because again, you never want to have anything else besides jet, definitely in a jet tank.
Yeah, for sure. Wow, that's definitely a quick decision making to tell the other person to shut off the valves. Yeah, wow. So, from your experience as a pipe controller, what is the most surprising piece of knowledge that you can think of that not many people know about?
Well, from my visit, it was very interesting to know that when it comes to like your gasoline, because whenever you see those trucks that are at the gas stations, you never really notice them, especially when they're at the gas stations. They have, a truck that has like a Shell logo or a truck that has a Chevron logo. It's just always typically a blank tank. And they're just kind of pumping on into that gas station. And mainly the reason behind that is because we've got a lot of different tank farms that house these products, whether it's gasoline, your premium, or your diesel. The only difference is whenever that person or that driver comes to those locations to actually pump that product, they have a specific recipe. And so Shell has a specific recipe, Chevron has a specific recipe, Exxon has a specific recipe. And so those recipes is what makes it that product. So that's what makes it a Shell gasoline product, or that's what makes it an Exxon gasoline product. So that recipe they're able to add in there. So they're additives that they also add in to the gasoline tank that they're pumping from, because it's all just one specific type of grade. But those additives that they put into those tanks is what makes it specific to us. And so when they do go and they go to the tank farm and the trucks go and they gather those products, they have a specific recipe that they need to add in there to say, hey, I'm going to a Shell station. And they actually go ahead and put that recipe in there, and it's Shell. And so that was definitely very interesting to me because I always thought that it was specific to that particular location, but never really thought about why I never saw a Shell actual, tanker whenever they're actually pumping in at the gas station.
Wow, yeah, I never knew that as well. I would always notice it as well that they didn't really have a logo or anything. It was just
Right.
like a little tank. That's very interesting. And what, if you don't mind me asking, what is the starting salary range of a pipe controller or similar fields, and how can someone get hired on as a pipeline controller today?
So, and of course, all of this stuff can definitely change depending on the time, and then you're looking at just the economy and things like that. So, the specific range is roughly about mid 80s, is where a typical pipeline controller will start off. Once it's built in, so we're a salaried um, organization as far as pipeline controlling. Our stuff is salaried. So we have built in overtime. So even though that's where you would start off, it does not mean that that's what's going to be your ending salary. And for us, it's you have to go through pretty much a process where you're hired on as a contractor first, and that's through a different system that we use. Before, it used to be pretty much an internship, and that's how I was able to get on into Shell, was through an internship after I had finished my school. And through that internship, it's about a 6 months process where you're able to pretty much do exactly what it is that I do. and they're able to learn and gather the information. And from that process, from that short internship, we're able to gather and understand if that person would be a good fit. And so I don't know if later on in life if it may change, but right now, as we speak, you do come on through as an internship, which is kind of a contractor, and you're able to see if this is truly a good fit for you as well. So it's not just trying to see if it's a good fit in regards to the company, if you're a good fit for the company. It's also for you to figure out if this is something that you want to do, because we're inside. So it's not like an operator where you're outside and you're enjoying the elements, whether it's nice and hot outside or a little cool. We're inside of an office space, and we're there. We're pretty much locked into that specific room for 12 hours. Now, when I say that specific room, like we can move around on our floor and everything like that. We can go to the restroom, go and get food. However, we're not able to leave our floor, which is for us is the third floor and it's a secure location. So we're not able to leave that specific space. But one of the things that I definitely did mention, and I find also very interesting, especially when people talk about it, is that we've got monitors in our bathroom and we've got monitors in our kitchen. And the main reason behind that is, if by chance you're using the restroom or you're getting some food, you want to know if there's something of emergency or might be an emergency happening on your console because you're away from that console. And so that's where we are definitely more safety driven. And so because of those monitors and those locations, if something was to happen and you look on that monitor and you see it's your console, you're hurrying up and rushing out and you're going to your console to figure out what's kind of going on.
Wow, yeah, that's definitely interesting how you guys have like monitors in the bathrooms and stuff. But again, it shows how show is being, focusing on that safety aspect for sure.
Correct.
So, what qualities or skills do you think are most important for someone interested in a career as a pipeline controller? And how can students like myself start building them now?
So I would definitely say one of the biggest things would be having a good attitude. It's one of those things where not a lot of people truly think too much about it, but your overall demeanor and attitude about what it is that you do, because again, you're coming on in to a job and you're coming on into work, and the supervisor doesn't necessarily need to have the added stress because you've got a negative attitude about what it is that you do. And so having a very good attitude about the work it is that you're doing, about what type of changes that you're making is definitely essential, because they look at things like that and it kind of goes higher up. And having a good attitude will also kind of probably help or hurt your performance at the end of the year, because a lot of people have performance um, where you're pretty much graded on your performance for the entire year that you've been there with the company, and that lets you know how good of a bonus that you may have or how not so good of a bonus you may have. And so your overall attitude and being a team player and wanting to do things that are going to help the company are definitely beneficial. And of course, I have to then circle back around to communication. That is by far one of the best things that you as kids that are growing on up, kids that are in school now, need to definitely make sure that you're kind of working on is that communication skill. You've got to be able to articulate what it is that you want and be able to talk to other people around you. Because no matter what, depending on the situation that you're in, having those good communication skills and being able to let somebody know what it is that you need to happen or what it is that you need to do, it could be essential, and it could be life saving depending on the situation that you're in, because you may need to get somebody out of an area quickly, and if you're not able to communicate that or let them know, hey, it's an emergency, it can be very dangerous. So definitely working on your communication skills, working on your overall attitude, making sure that not only are you a fit for the company, but the company is a fit for you. I feel as though it's definitely something that would be beneficial for anyone that's looking to broaden their career.
Yeah, definitely. Like again, we're talking about communication again, and it's very important that communication aspect. And it looks like we have an audience question. Miss Miller's science class in New Jersey wants to know if Ceola has any mentors in her career.
I have mentors now for sure. I didn't have any kind of going into this field because my background definitely was not this. My background was more into customer service. However, once I got into this industry, I've got some very good and strong mentors that are helping me figure out what my next phase is, figure out what that next level looks like, because I definitely want to retire with this company. I feel as though it's a great company to work for. And one of the main reasons for me choosing this company over another was the amount of detail that they put into safety. And with this type of industry, you need to have a company that thinks about safety. They want to make sure that you are when you arrive at that site, that location, you are going back home to your family. And they definitely are driven with that safety culture, which I appreciate. So yes, my mentors, they were able to actually get me on to speak to some high school children, some girls actually, and just kind of letting them know of what's happening within the industry and how um, them being a part of this industry will just make it a lot better. And so my mentors have definitely helped me, and they're continuing to help me be a better me and help me develop, which is awesome.
That's great, yeah. And our next question is, when you were in middle school, what did you want to be when you grew up?
So interestingly enough, when I was in middle school, I wanted to be a police officer, and so hence the reason why I've got a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and then I kind of went back to school to get my master's degree in business, and then later on needed to get my associate's degree in process technology, in which to get on to Shell. But yes, I say even before middle school, I know when I was speaking to my mom, it was, when I was in high school, she was asking me, "Hey, what do you want to be?" And I said, "A police officer." She was like, "You still want to be a police officer?" I said, "Yes, I have that." I guess that yearning, that knack for trying to help people. And so I always saw a police officer as somebody that had that power to help people no matter what. And so that was definitely something that I wanted to be. Never pursued it outside of really getting my degree. And after I got my degree, I was kind of in a career that I thought that I was going to continue because I have customer service as my background as far as jobs. And so I thought that I was just going to continue with that. But that is definitely what I wanted to be, was a police officer. I love, the police force, and I love what they do for our community, and trying to make it a safer and better place for those that actually are out there to make it a better and safer place for
Yeah,
everybody.
for sure. I'm not, and I think you're still completing your goal of helping a lot of people as a pipeline controller. You help, I mean, billions of people across America make sure that they get their gas daily. So for sure, you're still completing that goal.
Exactly. So true.
What would you tell the kids who maybe think that they're not cut out to pursue careers in STEM?
So what I would definitely tell them is that there's this stigma of you needing to have a 4 year degree, kind of in which to pursue this type of career, and that's not necessarily true. So whether it's engineering, or you want to get into process technology, we've got instrumentation techs, those type of degrees, especially the one that I had to take, it's a 2 year degree. So 4 year degrees are awesome. I've got a 4 year degree myself. I've got two-year degrees. However, I found that with those 2 year degrees, it gives you that foundation, and it gives you the necessary skills to also get a career, or start a career with a good paying salary. And then if you decide after that 2 year degree, and after you've gotten into the field of study that you want, you can certainly then go and get that 4 year degree if that's something that you want to do, in order to expand on the knowledge that you have, or if you want to definitely move on up within your company. A lot of companies, they know how beneficial degrees and things like that are, and so they're willing to, put up some money to help you actually acquire whatever additional degree you want, if it's something that's going to be beneficial for you within that company. So what I would definitely tell them is to, don't give up. Certainly, if you don't feel as though the 4-year degree is something that you can think that, hey, I can manage this, I can navigate that, look into the 2-year degrees. Those 2-year degrees are also very, very beneficial, very helpful. And, for me, that's the degree that I'm actually utilizing right now. Even with the other degrees that I have, I'm utilizing my 2-year degree right now. And I feel as though it's been very beneficial for me to have gotten that degree.
Yeah, for sure. There's always alternative plans if you don't feel that it's right for you. So, some personal fun questions now. What else do you like to do for fun outside of work?
So outside of work is definitely going to be hanging on out with my family. We have joined the DVC club, which is for Disney, and so we've done a couple of Disney cruises, which are definitely awesome. If folks have not done that, for kids, bug your parents, hey, let's get on a Disney cruise. I'm sure that they would definitely enjoy it, and you guys would definitely enjoy it as well, because you're able to be out in the ocean, and there's so many different activities that you can do while on the cruise. They have activities for just kids where the kids can go to the kids club, the parents can enjoy time off by themselves. They've got special places on the cruise where it's just kids hang out, and then the adults can go and do what they want to do. So it has been awesome to be able to take advantage of that with my family, because they just love it, and as an adult I love it as well. Never really truly got I got I believe it was like one time when I was super young, to be able to go to Disney, and being able to do it now with my family, with my kids. It's amazing. So definitely would recommend it for you guys.
Definitely, yeah. If you could have any superpower, what would you choose and why?
Oh man. So the superpowers that I would choose, and I couldn't even say a superpower, would definitely be the ones that Superman has. And again, it comes off of just being that person that just loves to help people. So being able to fly and help and save somebody that for some reason, we can't get to them, as far as fire trucks and things like that, because they can only go to a certain level, a certain height. So being able to fly and go and rescue somebody, and then be able to have that superpower of strength, to break through stuff that people can't get to because they need to be rescued. Interestingly enough, that would definitely be something that I would love to have, if it ever came around.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So it looks like we have an audience question from Mrs. Noy's class in Orlin. How long have you been working for Shell?
So I've actually only been working for Shell for 3 years now. And that happened, my work anniversary was in October. And within the 3 years, I have been able to talk to different schools, high schools, universities, just about the opportunities that Shell offers, especially um, for women, especially for girls. And within those 3 years, I've also qualified on 2 different consoles. So usually that doesn't happen, and that happens like further down the line. So I've got 2 consoles under my belt, which I am authorized in which to operate, should they need me to operate them. And so I feel as though that's definitely been very good.
Yeah, wow. It also looks like we have another Q&A question from the audience from a fifth grade class in Arizona. What is something you've done in your life that you're really proud of?
Oh man. So outside of qualifying on these 2 consoles, because it's hard. It's not something that's easy, and they don't necessarily offer that to everybody, because it's a process of you not just, you've kind of have to learn the new system that you're operating. And so that definitely was one of my biggest accomplishments. Another one would definitely be um, being able to provide for my family. So we purchased a home about 3 years ago, and that being first house, and everybody having their space, because I've got 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls. So everybody being able to have their own space and be able to enjoy that space, I feel as though has definitely been like one of my biggest accomplishments for sure.
Perfect, yeah. So this is our last question. What changes would you like to see in the fields of STEM today? tomorrow, and the future?
So one of the biggest ones, and I feel as though we are striving towards it, is just having more diversity within the industry, within STEM. And so, it's one of those where, as I say, I'm passionate about making sure that I talk to our youth about this opportunity, being able to utilize, 2-year degrees. You don't necessarily need to have a 4-year degree in which to get into this industry, but also seeing more girls, seeing more women within the industry, seeing more diversity within the industry would definitely, just be cool to have and to be able to see. I know that we're definitely getting there, and I know that in time, more girls are going to be a lot interested in these type of industries, in these fields, because there's just a plethora of different areas in which you can go into, and I feel as though they'll enjoy it, they'll like it. That would be my one thing, to definitely see more girls in the industry for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So, well, I believe that's all the questions we have time for on this episode. Thank you, Ceola, for joining us today. I've learned a lot.
Thank you so very much for having me. I do really appreciate it. I do.
Perfect, always. We also want to thank Shell for partnering with us on today's episode, and we want to thank our chat sponsor, the United Engineering Foundation. Also, a huge thanks to all of you for tuning in. To learn more about engineering and tech careers, go to DiscoverE's website at discoverE.org, and be sure to join our next Chat with Changemakers on Thursday, December 12th at 1 p.m. Eastern. See you then. Bye, everybody.